All rise for flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, for the audience, the announcement this week that I have is on the early voting. There's early voting here at the courthouse, October 22nd to the 24th from 8:30 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. October 25th from 8:30 to 7 p.m., which is extended hours. On the 26th, regular hours, 8:30 to 5 p.m. On Saturday, October 27th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. October 29th, again, 8:30 to 5 p.m. And November 5th, from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon. Then there's remote voting, which is at Lancaster City Hall, October 24th, from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. And Cummings Christian Church on October 24th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Then the Effingham Municipal Building is October 26th from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And then Arrington Community Building on October 26th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So if there's anyone that has any questions, you can get with the clerk's office, but we just want the availability of times to be made public. Okay, public comment. Who do we have here?
Hi, I haven't met you. My name is Karen
Well,
Lapp.
you get her the chairs up here so we can.
Oh. You want us to come sit in the chairs up
Yeah, we can. Come on.
there?
That way you're on television.
My name is Karen Laughlin. I live here in Atchison. And basically, I've never been to a meeting like this before, so thank you for having me. This is
Angel Spurlock, background atlas. I've been in Atchison for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just heard a lot and read a lot about the potential sale of Atchison Senior Village. And so I wanted to come and just get some information from the three of you directly. Basically, I'm curious as to why you would be interested in selling something so important to our community as Senior Village. My husband's grandmother lived and died there, and so I just feel very strongly that it needs to stay as part of our community. So could you please address why you're entertaining a potential sale?
Well, for one thing, anytime that commissioners, I think one of our duties is to consider reallocation of county assets, do the allocation of where assets lie. Is that going to be best for the long time benefit of the county? And in the future, where is the county, excuse me, you caught me by surprise here. I wasn't prepared to talk about this today, but what's the future of the healthcare industry? I mean, it's so volatile now. I mean, in the future, there's going to be major changes in that. There's so much volatility in the marketplace for healthcare. We have an aging facility. There is no plan for ever what's to be done with it. I mean, when the building is done for, how many years will that be? Will the county have to rebuild? I mean, there's no long-range plan for building infrastructure. So I think that there gets to be a time when you see where the resources could be possibly better allocated.
Okay, you made two defining statements. I heard you talk about, you mentioned it twice now, the reallocation of funds or the proceeds from a potential sale. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the other one is, where is healthcare? Where is the industry going? Well, that's a huge question.
That's a huge unknown.
However, the fact that with every morning we wake up and every evening we go to sleep, all of us continue to age. Sure. And none of us know at what point in our life we're going to need that type of care.
Sure.
But go back a moment. Do you have an idea of what you would like to use those funds for?
There's been some talk, but there's nothing been permanent. There's nothing been ever voted on of where that would go. I know there's some needs of infrastructure in the county. Now, whether that's not a direct correlation between if we do this, that means, X plus B equals C. There's nothing been set in stone, but there has been some talk of different things. The courthouse, for one, courthouse is going to have a lot of work done on it, probably in the next 3 to 5 years. Where are those funds going to come from? If we can't find any other places for this money to come from, it'll have to come from taxpayers.
Oh. So you're basically saying that you're weighing the infrastructure versus the care for our aging seniors.
We're not saying we're weighing that. We're just saying we're some of the proceeds. We discussed the windows and the heating and air conditioning and some of the money. We're not saying it's more important than the nursing home. We've discussed lowering the mills. We've discussed jumping our road and bridge, our bridge construction. That's one of the county's biggest problems, the condition of our bridges. That whether you live in the city or live in the county, you have loved ones that travel over the bridges. So we want to make our bridges safe.
So there are other options.
Yeah, we didn't, like Commissioner No said, we haven't said assist. We talked about a new road and bridge facility. It's ready to fall in. It's not a real pretty sight on the edge of town. We're wanting to try to improve the looks. This is some of the things that we've discussed.
So how, as a citizen of Atchison County, do the citizens express their concern for, or their support of the nursing home? We had a petition that I signed. I signed the petition. Mm-hmm. Does that help? Does that hold some kind of weight in these kind of decisions? Because somewhere along the line, it won't be voted on by the public, will it?
No.
No. So how does the public show the support of, maybe I'd rather be taxed a few more dollars than give up the nursing home care that's available to us now that we know is supportive in a good quality care in this county. Maybe that would be more important to me to have that facility here and to be taxed a few more cents. How do the people of Atchison give you that kind of input?
I believe you're doing it. You're making your voices.
And two of us are not the county, so
sure.
I need to know how to tell people, because people in my business come in and talk about it all the time, and there's a lot of talk, and I hear all these different sides and all these different people's, and I don't know how to say, you need to go talk to someone. You need to go. Where do I? If the petition, should the petition be written in another way so that it's more, it weighs more heavily on your decision, or should we just send them to city commission meetings so that we can? I need to know, how do I get these people to an outlet where they can be heard and can feel like they got their weight in?
I personally don't know what was told to you to sign the petition. I do know that there's a lot of facts out there being quoted that are far from reality.
So if we wrote a petition that had more facts in it, and that's what we want. We want to know what's going on. We want to know facts. We want to be informed. It's not like there's a huge lack of participation in this. That I mean, I think that Atchison County could be a little bit more supportive of what's going on. If they have questions, they should be up here asking. But I don't think people know where to go. But if a petition had more information on it and people were to sign it, would that weigh more on? I mean, in general public, people aren't going to have time to take out of the busy day to come up to a meeting at 1 o'clock at the courthouse, because I took off work to come. But is that the direction to go? Send them here, let them talk, let them speak, because there's a lot of people that are very confused and upset about this, and they read it in the paper and then they don't know where to ask for questions. Or
I guess it's a little bit surprising, because this actually was announced in 2015 and really had no feedback from the public at all until probably within the last 6 to 8 months. So it seems like a very delayed reaction from the public. I believe it was the fall of 2015 when it was in the front of the Globe that we were considering the sale. So that's kind of surprised me a little bit.
I think the closer to the sale, people think that it's more serious it's happening. And it just seems to be a really hot subject right now. People are, I have a lot of friends that have parents in Senior Village, and maybe that's why I hear more about it, is because the whole system up there is afraid of what's coming next. And I hear that input a lot because those people come down and tell me those kind of things.
Well,
maybe that's where that's coming.
I guess maybe a little bit would be also, about a year ago, we signed an actual LOI, with a letter of intent with a company, passed 3-0. And at that time, there was still no major feedback from the public. So we were actually closer at that time than we are now.
I don't know why. I just know that
I think there's been some maybe political interests that are stirring the pot.
My friends aren't political. They have loved ones up in Senior Village. I mean, that's what their political aspect is they're taking care of their people. So maybe possibly that's where it's coming from. But right now, I know that the concern that I'm hearing and the things that are weighing, you don't know what's true, what's not true. You'd like somewhere to be able to say, I need some facts. I need to know what's going on. But yeah, no, my friends are not political. They just have a lot of aging. Have a lot of
Can I try to answer some of the questions, or at least I'll try to answer them?
Sure.
I can't think of anything more precious than care of our elders in this community, and quality care. I think it's so important. We have a system now where we have a county-owned nursing home that is 100% self-sufficient except for $10,000. And
that's not correct.
Hold on, am I going to answer the question?
When you're
correct, we will agree with you.
It's not fun.
Okay, so can I answer the question?
If you tell them the right facts,
okay.
Yes.
That would be the better if I could at least finish. Okay. So we have this nursing home that takes care of people, has high rankings, has a wonderful nursing staff, and they do the best they can for the patient's care. Now, we can jump ahead and we can have a nursing home that's privately owned that wants to squeeze every possible dollar they can to make a profit, because firms are profit maximizers. And I will tell you that I'm not for selling this home because primarily I have a ROI trust that's $5 million and provides up to $200 per resident per month for skilled nursing care. So someone's going to come in and do without that. They're going to start paying county property taxes. How can they possibly make sense? How can we make, as a community, make sense of that? So I'm going to tell you, from my 1/3 of this commission, I'm against Senior Village. I've got maybe a solution, something you brought up. Someone called me this morning and they're doing a survey monkey on this subject, 12 questions, and they're going to start publishing it today. What I would like to ask the fellow commissioners, can we post it on the county Facebook page to get as many county residents as possible?
I would have to see what the survey is, because I know in the past there was a survey published in the name of the county commission, and it was not sanctioned by the commission, and the questions were what I would call a push poll, where they were leading questions.
So you can create your own questions.
Huh?
I said you could create a list of your own questions.
Yes, but it's already out. So this is
Well,
something
it's
that
already
we've heard
out,
of.
and it hasn't got to do with, it's not done by the county, it's got to do with the citizens.
But who created it and what there are the questions, I can't, without,
I haven't seen the
I
question.
wouldn't- without seeing it, and I don't know, it could be either way. I wouldn't put it on as a county business that this is a factual one. I haven't even, if they wanted to have created this and asked us and had input of what it needed to be, I'd say yes. And I have no idea what these questions are.
Well, what if we created one? I mean, that would have access to people that you wouldn't, I mean, that I wouldn't see.
Well, it gives you a chance for public input, and you could interpret it any way you want.
But you ask about this one here, and I would say on
No,
Facebook.
I've got this one, I've seen there's one out
Well, I wouldn't post it because I don't know what these questions are. I don't know. It could be like I say, a push poll is created, and it takes the look of a poll, but the questions are leading and lead you into a certain direction.
I do know the author of this is skilled at asking good questions that are not biased, and actually is a professional in this regard. So maybe you should take a look at the survey, Eric, and then refer it to the administrator of the Facebook page and ask him to post it if you feel it's adequate. If it's not adequate, then don't post it.
Or if it's not adequate, then I would be happy to go in and work with you to create one that is adequate that you guys agree
We
with.
consider that.
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
great idea, because that way people would be able to express their express what they're thinking, and at least it would be out there to a wide range of people.
What would your opinion be if I were to ask you, we have nursing home, Atchison Senior Village, we have medical lodge. Atchison Senior Village gets $181,000 Firewire Trust. They get roughly $60,000 to $70,000 worth of employee pay out of county general, which is HR and IT. They get the benefit of not paying sale or property tax, and they're still negative $25,000. That's Group A. Group B has no $181,000, does their own payroll, pays property taxes, and shows a profit.
My opinion is that I've worked at medical lodge, and my mother has worked at senior village, and I've seen the difference between the
There's
two.
a difference, but it's not that much difference, or they'd be
Well,
what? They would be fined. They
That's
would
whose
be
mother's
closed
there,
down.
doesn't it?
Well, it just depends. I know that a for-profit company comes in, and that's what they're about, is for-profit. Is there a way that senior village? I mean, is there another option besides selling? I mean, if they're $25,000 down, why? What's going on that we need to press that in?
Unless you throw in the fact that there's no capital improvement set aside money, and
I think that's a huge problem. I think
That's
that should
not
be
that
addressed right away too. But is the
as far as the
answer
healthcare,
simple?
it's being run perfect. As far as a business, it's being run very poorly.
Well, then is there an option besides selling? I mean, if you have to sell it to make sure that the residents are getting good, strong care, then I can understand that reasoning. If we don't do this, this is what's going to happen. But is the reasoning that we're going to sell it because we're going to allocate the money somewhere else? I just want to know, have all the avenues been looked at and explored? Is the sale just an easy way to shift the money somewhere? I hate to say this, but if we have the trust money there, is there not a way to figure out how we can make it work better for what we're doing, and still keep the care and still keep the community, the nursing home in the community?
That'd be a question you'd have to ask the other ones, the other nursing homes, because they're doing it and show them profit.
I can share with you, this is the operating results from 17-18 and the proposed budget for 19, showing us a fully funding itself, because I have a copy of that.
It's funding itself, but it's also not paying HR, IT. Of course it would be it's a nonprofit. It will
not-
never make a
not-
profit.
It's not for profit. But
Yes.
not-for-profits have surpluses.
Now, if they have surpluses, why then aren't they putting a plan into effect for?
I guess that's a policy decision that the county commissioners can work on.
Well,
I don't think
It's-
we can, I don't think we as citizens can assign a dollar value to the care and the respect of the people that are living there.
Get that letter from that one woman. Sure.
I want to address.
I don't know if
I
that's
want to address what he said about HR and human resources in regard to costs for the senior village. First of all, that is not budgeted by senior village or because it's done for every department within the county. And my question would be, if we sell senior village, will we be reducing staff and IT and human resources?
IT could definitely go down to one person.
We only have one person.
We have two people.
We have a director and a worker.
Well, they're getting salaries. We have two salaries coming out.
So you would cut IT, now what about human resources? So that's a big cost.
Human resources could do a lot of things that's been lacking, policies and procedures. That hasn't been updated.
Human resources in charge of county policies, I thought the commissioners were.
the policy book, handbooks, all that stuff that we've actually talked in budget season about adding to that staff because there was things that we were wanting HR to do that he couldn't. So
Now, when my husband's grandmother lived there, I know one of her big concerns was food. We needed grandmother to eat, and grandmother was very picky. But I know at the time that Senior Village was getting their meat from Van Dyke's, and they were getting things from Atchison Wholesale. I mean, I was there when the delivery came. And is that still the case? So are they doing business locally? Is that what's happening? I mean,
big vendors are Atchison Wholesale, Van Dyke's, Cash Savers. It comes to $360,000. They also buy merchandise from the big box store in town. That's not counted in the 360. But that big box store does provide jobs. And I just was at the race where they're giving away coolers. The race, so Walmart does share in the community too.
so they do. I mean, a lot of times, I mean, if they're corporate owned, then they don't do business locally. So that's a factor. Is that factor being taken into
I
consideration?
asked that question to the potential buyers, and quote unquote, we will buy as much local as local can provide at a competitive price. It was never. They never said they wouldn't buy local. They never said they was going to cut staff. Now they may do that. This was one person's opinion. That now all of a sudden it's written in stone that that's what they're going to do.
So I guess I need to know. I guess the reason I'm here is I'd like to know how we bring these people, how Atchison County gets their opinions out. And if the survey works with you guys, I would love to work with you and get a survey through Survey Monkey out, so that at least they would have some kind of say, so that we could feel like that this actually. That what they're thinking is being repeated somewhere, because I don't know that we're well represented because there's not very many people here. I don't know if they've come in the past, but there's a lot of people
We have
talking.
lots of people up here talking about it.
Lots of people are talking about it in my business and where I'm in my circles. I just know that.
we've had Representative Epley, and that's been it.
Representative Epley, who's had medical experience in both facilities, saying it'd be foolish to sell it
No,
because of the Harway Trust primarily.
the question was,
so
you answered that we've had lots of people here talking
It
about it.
counts for lots of people, and I can't think off the top of my mind who else has been here. But I will tell you, the Harway Trust, $5 million, the income from $5 million, gone from our community.
That's not necessarily true.
But it has to be
we don't know that yet.
Okay, but they would have to be determined by the courts.
Yes.
There's nothing in the will that outlines it going to anybody else. Warren Harway had great vision. He wanted to make sure that proper care continued in our county. There's nothing in that world that says it go to somebody else. But if my name was Harway and I heard this sale, I'd be standing up at the district court in a heartbeat.
I agree with Angela, and again, I don't know the steps, but if we were to come up with questions, the potential questions that, you know, to put in a survey and got your approval, I mean, that's what I'm hearing. In order
And bring it back to you. So
bring
y'all
it back
look at
to
it.
you, then
The only problem I have with that, people's done got their mind made up that the potential buyers aren't going to buy local. They're going to cut staff. The
Well, you
quality
don't
of
know
care
that.
is going to go
You don't
down.
know that
We
because
got a
people-
letter from a lady that's in charge of nursing homes that has nothing to gain. They give them nothing but high praise.
The people
They had
that,
one-
like the company that's buying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had one facility that
Potential.
they had financial problems. They've corrected that.
I think it's a little bit of demonization of the for-profit industry also. They're all lumped into one, they're corporate, or that's bad. I mean, any of those people, it's bad. I've personally visited 2 of their facilities, and I would put my dad in either one of them. I
So-
just visited one, Rossville, which is owned by Recover Care, and excellent facility, beautiful.
So you've had experience then in the nursing home business?
No, I'm talking about someone that would be a potential customer, or my father would be a potential customer. Until recently, I had 2 elderly parents so mom passed away in August. But I'm not one that is wanting to take away options. I wouldn't, if I didn't feel that Recover Care couldn't take and keep it a good facility, I wouldn't be for the sale. And I'm saying I'm personal, I go as a potential consumer and toured the facilities, and I thought they were very nice. So that
But
isn't
you've never worked in one. Have
I've never
you
worked in
ever
one.
put a loved
I'm not
one-
into any healthcare. I grew up with grandparents in nursing homes, so I've been in a lot of nursing homes. That's it. I'm not saying I've got.
So you've never sat in one all night and seen, I mean, there's no compare and contrast. So basically, you're forming your opinions, if I understand correctly.
Just on my experiences
Okay.
as having family members in it.
And letters that you've gotten, letters of intent, or that you've read, or just different county information that you've gathered.
Yes.
Okay,
I see
so
you gentlemen are very divided on this, and that's what I wonder is, you have your stand and you have your stand, and I see that I just feel like there should be more input into this on.
Well, we were a year ago. We were all 3 in favor. So there's been one change.
Well, I just feel like there should be some more Atchison County residents who at least put forward what their thoughts are in front of you before a decision, because after you sell it, it's not coming back. So this is a
Right.
huge decision that really, I just feel like if you had just a little bit more of Atchison County residents' input, just to say, we've read this, we see this, we understand the difference, and this is the findings that are.
Okay. We're going to have to cut this off shortly because this was supposed to be a 5-minute deal. But
I'm sorry.
but
I
anyway,
like that. And here's the taxation.
is this that we can take? Okay,
Sure.
thank you.
okay.
It's available on the county
The
website.
question you asked Mr. Knoll, I've been in nursing home a lot. My grandmother was in a nursing home at Cray Manor back years ago. I currently had my mom in a facility in Leavenworth.
It's hard.
At the end, it's very hard. It's very good, and I would compare that one equal, if not better, than Atchison Senior Village. At the end, she just kind of threw up her hands. She said, "Bill, I'm done." And that's when all of her insurance quit. She lived 10 days. I wrote a check out for $300 more for 10 days than we charged for 30 days at Atchison Senior Village. So that told me two things. We're too cheap, they were too high. The quality of care is good. No long-term plan for Atchison Senior Village. We're currently in a lawsuit. Liability. That was another issue. Sure, we have insurance, but like if you have a car wreck, what's your insurance going to do? It's going to raise your rates.
But
That's a concern.
I mean, from what I've read in the paper, I mean, it's an allegation. I mean, nothing's been proven, correct?
Correct. Because it's a lawsuit.
I just want to wrap this up. I care very much about Atchison Senior Village. Our county has got several elderly residents. We're all aging with every day that goes by. It's nice to know that we have a facility like Atchison Senior Village in our community. I feel like we also need to consider the employees that work there and what Atchison Senior puts back in the village, puts back in our community. So with that, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll get back with you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Hold the chair. Your turn.
Okay, did everyone have a chance to read the minutes from last week?
I did, and I think on the first page under the board, after the Pledge of Allegiance, it states minutes of October 9th, 2018 meeting were reviewed with no corrections noted. Myself, Commissioner Pohl, made the motion to approve the minutes as revised. So there was some changes. So I don't know how the minutes were approved after they were revised. Is how it should read.
Well, I think you could simply say that the revised minutes were approved or something like that. It's
The revised minutes of the October 9th, 2018 meeting were reviewed.
yes.
Okay, do I hear a motion, or is there any other corrections?
That's all one I said.
Do I hear a motion to approve these minutes as corrected?
I said no.
And I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
3-0. Okay. Seth, come on up, I guess.
We're going to have commissioner comments.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped right over that. Right.
Well, I have a couple things. Just this last week, Monday through Wednesday, I attended the Kansas Association of Counties, along with, I think, 5 members of the staff here at Atchison County. It has a lot of seminars and a lot of opportunities to intermingle with other people in their departments and other county commissioners. I think that anytime I go to these things, I realize that there's a lot of things I don't know, and I always learn and make good things. I just got to give you some overall things that I involved with. How to improve the security in the courthouse is one seminar, and I know that what we did with the training and some of the things we're working towards, we are moving in the right direction. But keeping that going is probably one of our big challenges. Then we went to cybersecurity meeting. We talked about how things are involved with cybersecurity, and I think we always ought to be scared of cybersecurity or our system going down. They talked a lot about using flash drives, being something we got to be very careful with. I know Wes Lander said he didn't think it was a big deal, but I'm just telling you what I learned at that cyber meeting. Actually, I went to a chip seal road rehabilitation, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I learned a lot about roads. But I learned one thing, some of the best money we can spend is to maintain our good roads. And then be careful, we're not trying to save a road that can't be saved. That's a big challenge. And then making sure we have a road plan. Then I went on to this seminar called Do We Need a County Administrator? And 20% of the counties have full-time administrators. So most counties don't have. And the seminar was put on by the County Administrators Association, so it was pro on the idea of having one. But what I learned there, I had people come up to me afterwards who were telling me that they're a part-time administrator, like somebody was a public works director and they were in charge of the entire labor side, parks, recreation, road and bridge. So they were a de facto quasi part-time administrator. Some people had a part-time administrators over finance and took care of those type of things. So I think in our I don't think we're probably right for county administrator, but I think in our thought process we might want to have somebody who we can lean on, because we're 3 people and we got 8 reports, and it's something to be thinking about. We had a policy review session. The basic policies, we went into basically the seminar was, does anybody have any questions? Well, somebody stood up and named off all 7 of them. Does anybody have any questions? No questions, it's over. So we really never discussed the legislative policies. One of the big announcements of the meeting, a lot of the talk, is the executive director, and I can't think of his name now. His contract was not renewed, and this was his last meeting as the K.S.A. We had a keynote speaker from a man, the best 5 decisions that the Beatles ever made, and he tied in the idea of share the spotlight, shared vision, play to your strength, into the Beatles songs. He had a good point. He says, maybe to be a county commissioner, you got to be like an egg, cracked, scrambled, or fried. I just thought that was kind of cute.
Vandal Allen.
What?
Vandal Allen.
Yeah. Then we had a county meeting by population. And again, there wasn't a lot of things coming up, but the big conversation there was the wind. A lot of these counties are getting a lot of money from wind farms. And I don't think we're full of a lot of air in Atchison County, but maybe someday it'll show up on our doorstep. I know that the people in Nemaha County are going to get several wind farms, but this is $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 windfall in income, because it's a payment in lieu of taxes, and they've been using this to lower their mill levy. Some of the counties were talking about lowering their mill levy by 12. So I don't know if there's a way we can attract a wind farm. I mean, I don't know enough about it. I mean, it'd be something worthwhile. I've always heard that we don't have good prevailing winds here, but I got to believe somewhere in this big county we got some place.
I think part of the problem might be that we got more 40, 60, 80 acre tracts where you go west where they're at. They have sections upon sections.
Right, and that's very difficult. You know, you don't want to put a windmill next to someone's house or wherever that might be. I also attended the Joint Communications meeting, and there's quite a robust conversation about whether we should take some capital improvement money and apply them to computer prices and some computer purchases in the sheriff's department and the sheriff's department and the police department, and they're going to be coming to us sometime with their proposal. So you might want to think that might be coming again. So if you want any information, you might talk to a member of that committee. They did elect a new chairman, Ted Graff from the city of Atchison is a new chairman, and I can't remember who the vice chairman is, but Jack Laurie has been serving that capacity for a while, so he stepped out and someone else took that position. That's all I have.
Okay.
I have an adult correction meeting tomorrow at 11:30 here in Atchison. That's all I have.
Okay. I really don't have anything. I was approached. The NECAP is currently seeking a new grant process, and I was asked to write a letter of recommendation for the program since I'm on that board. So I just got asked to do that as a committee member. So that's the only thing I have going on this week. Okay, now, sir. Really, I just have 2 items.
first one being motor grader decision. As we all know, the John Deere is going back this Thursday on the buyback deal. So we need to make that decision on which machine we'd like to go with, and basically have that approved, ready for the financing, which we'll put off until next week.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had the motion to purchase a cat, but that was depending on financing, and we still don't have financing put into place. So we're probably gonna have to act on that today, means he's losing the grader here in a couple of days.
So I think we drew that motion, so there was not a motion.
It was withdrawn.
I withdrew it. And I would make a motion to purchase, at least purchase the cat from Fully Equipment in the, I always get crazy with these numbers, $290,342. So I would move that.
Do we need to add something in there about
Financing or-
financing? We're gonna put it up for bids, and if
Since
Foley's does have a finance plan that
they do
need to
have
be
one.
used,
But we're not financing 290,000.
no.
Lease purchasing.
What is the difference?
It's only-
126,
Yeah,
125, 126, something like that.
If you want an exact number, I can
Well, is it,
figure it.
is my motion continues that it would be based upon, we're gonna put up a bid for the lease purchase, probably to be approved by next week if we can get it, all the bids in by then.
Can you get it done by then, you think?
Yeah, it's ready to go.
That's
126.
Okay, it's 126,003 is what is actually being financed for $295,000.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to go ahead with the purchase of the cat. Is it 12M3? Is that
Yeah.
correct? Road patrol from Foley Equipment. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Pass 3-0. Do I need to sign this?
No, it was basically just
Did you get a finance rate? You said after workshop you were gonna call them
on fully or
to see what their
See what they-
interest rate
yeah,
was.
I shared that with you. I have that if we need it.
So ask them if they're willing to bid.
Okay, yeah, I told them that when we have this, they could submit in on our bids. So I believe their things are set in stone for fully.
Yeah.
So, but I will have them.
We've learned that that's not always true.
Correct.
Well, you thought that in price. So we that's all in all.
So yeah, I'll have them submit in with our bids also. The next thing is the bridge on the Leavenworth County, Atchison County line down south of Potter. We had the price come in. Basically, the approval to proceed with this project based off if Leavenworth County is to approve it also still this year. Our price will be 50% of that. I actually have it. We just need approval to go with Husker Steel on this project.
Okay, now is that price completed all the dirt work and everything, or we?
So what that price is
Just the bridge.
Leavenworth County's taking care of permitting. This price is just for the structure installed. Atchison County is going to be in charge of the backfill of the project.
So we will be paying them half of the 147.
Correct.
And we will pay Leavenworth County.
Leavenworth County takes care of that. We take care of the backfill. That's kind of our split. We split the price of the.
But will we pay them for half of the Husker?
It'll either or, whether we
Okay.
pay in full or we both just pay our portions together. One way or another, we'll figure that out.
These funds will come out of where?
Special bridge is where this is going to come out
And this is bridge number 410.
of.
So on the bottom here it says number 410.
Okay, yep, that'd be it then.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0.
Alrighty.
Okay, will we have anything to sign on that?
Well, I'll get the contracts wrote up and I'll bring them back and have them
Okay.
signed. So you can keep that.
I'll just put that in the folder.
Okay. Yep. So I'll bring the contracts back up.
I don't know who you'd contact. You probably need to get a hold of somebody, contact some people down there. It's gonna be closed probably, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
So what we normally do is on any type of thing like this, we'll put the code red out. We'll notify them if there's anybody that's going to be directly impacted where that's their only way in or out, or vice versa. Anything like that, we'll stop in and talk to the landowners and let them know. But This one, there is ways in and out both ways, so we'll notify school districts. Code Red will notify all the landowners that are part of Code Red, and we'll do a social media post.
I was gonna say something less about code. You had Brad Sheriffus come down and make a note of that when you talk about code red.
Is there anything, when is the Osage Road supposed to start?
Okay, I have not got confirmation on exact start date. It's going to be Wednesday or Thursday. Probably start early in the morning. They're going to start. The way it sounds, they're going to do it in sections. They're not just going to go rip the entire section up. They're just going to do maybe a half-mile section at a time, work it, get it passable, and then move on. So with that, they don't have an exact amount of time frame that's going to be closed. We are going to close it completely. There'll still be local traffic available to get through, and they are going to make sure that all landowners that live on that section will have a way out 24 hours a day.
Is there any way, I got thinking that you had told us that this morning, but there's a lot of harvest traffic going on now. Is there anything, could we put a sign up saying this road's going to possibly be closed? And so
that's what that code red was for. I mean, we stress that all residents have that code red.
There's residents, but you may have people coming in that don't live around there that are coming in to harvest. And local traffic.
I don't know how to.
You could tell 100 people and you're gonna miss somebody.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk already down. I've already had 3 or 4 phone calls, which is great. I don't know if it's our social media or the code red that went through, but it's I've already got phone calls. There's been people asking how they can get harvest through there. Basically, if they're coming from Jefferson County, they're just going to have to take another route. If they're right there in that region, they'll find a way and get them out of their fields. So there was some also cattle areas that are down there that are being affected. I've got that all worked out also. So,
I'm just trying to make every effort to notify the public.
Yeah, it should still always be passable. We don't want everybody able to come through there and disrupt their construction. There's going to be a lot of employees on the ground down there. So the less traffic we have, the better. So they're going to fully close it, but still let the 3 or 4 people that live down there through it. So the harvest traffic might just have to make some alterations.
You don't have to make but what's bad is you have a semi and you come up and you get to the point.
There'll be a way of going.
Where demonstration, will there be some? Well, I mean, that's in Jefferson County. That's where, see, I'm getting into trying to
think. We can put some road closed ahead, but a lot of people try to go as far as they can go, and there's a road 206 over to Potter they can take.
Right,
but about their last.
But you're seeing there's no way to turn around a semi, especially loaded. So we're going to have harvest traffic, and they're going to come up, and to that point, if we could have something, especially from the south, because most loaded trucks aren't going to be heading south, they're going to be going north, they're going to be coming into town. And we've got to be kind of prepared for that, because it's at this time of year.
They're in charge of their own traffic controls. I'll run down and make sure to see if they have any road closed ahead signs down. If not, the county will place those.
But it could be their problem, but it's going to be our fault.
we don't have no access to those signs where roads are going to be closed November 10th through.
If we want to start purchasing those every time we do a project, we can, but it gets pricey on those customers.
And those to buy wouldn't be pricey no more.
We would never, on this project, we can just do road closed aheads, 1 mile, 2. We can do those, but if we want to start doing dates and all that, you're customizing signs, and it gets pretty pricey. So, I guess the only other thing is that 911 address signs. That's something.
Well, it's under Wes. I didn't know, was Wes supposed to be here?
He's not. No, I talked to him all the way up. I saw that on there. I was like, well, I know he wasn't going to be up here this afternoon, so I figured I would bring it up.
Okay. Do we actually have any language or anything that needs to be in a motion to support
It's a resolution.
Okay.
And Jack asked me to print that this morning, and I did not print it, but I can print it for you.
Okay.
For what I think is the final draft. If there were any changes made after.
I think it was good. We just wanted to figure financing out.
While we're waiting for Pat to print that, can I talk about a different subject?
Sure.
Okay. I read in the minutes that there was a discussion with Debbie Duncan about converting the Dove's money to a new organization. You guys already asked these questions because they're not clear in the minutes, but to me, domestic violence, support is so important in our community. But before us to give that money, they have to have a viable 501c3
That's
with a board.
that was addressed.
Okay.
Yes, and it was upon the kind of contingent upon.
Because right now there isn't one. It just.
She was filing for one, and we also said that we would like to see some kind of plan. We're just talking about giving this money and we just slough it off.
But having a 501c3 is more than just getting a federal ID number for the IRS. Having a functional board and
Right.
a business plan.
Yeah, it was. I'm more than happy if they can pick up the mantle and run with it to convert that. It's basically doing the same function as exactly what we intended it for to be budgeted for.
So I think we all thought it was financial. Mrs. Duncan said that in her illness and she was absent, the people there kind of dropped the ball and things got way out of whack, and then that's why they dissolved.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of finger pointing, and I don't think I even know the facts. But
No, I don't
but
think we did
I
either.
will tell you that I think it has to be a viable organization, and they need to come to us with that request
Yes,
with the same documentation they would come to us at budget time.
yes.
Yeah.
Didn't she also quote that Brown County okayed to transfer the money? Or
Yes.
was it
I believe.
there was one county?
Yeah, I think it was Brown County.
Or
It may have been Doniphan.
one of
I'd
them
have to go
agreed.
I have no problem with it. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we did address that. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, we just can't hand it over, but, as long as it's in place of and it's legitimate, they have their 501c3 and documentation. While he's also, if you don't mind me changing the subject a little bit while we're waiting that resolution to be printed out, we got a letter from the coordinator for Kansas Academic Standards. Oh, that's not the one. Oh, that's. We got a letter from the about the DMV that I had here.
Cato.
There it is.
There's one for you. One for you.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
There's three.
Do you think I ought to read this, or do we want to? Okay, dear County Commissioners, we're pleased to share the many ways we are launching improved and modernized driver's license services statewide in the coming weeks and months. Beginning October 23rd, Kansas drivers between the ages of 21 and 50 who have had a vision exam in the last year will have the option to skip the office and renew their license using the ICANN mobile application. Driver's license renewal services will join other ICANN features like vehicle registration renewal and vital statistics request to increase access to government services. The app is applicable for iOS and Android download or at the address of http://icankansas.gov. The option to use ICANN for mobile credential renewals comes in conjunction with the launch of the CAN license system, a new interface used by driver's license examiners to input data, records, and issue credentials. The new system will speed processing time, reduce office waits, and time at the counter for customers. It will also reduce the length of time it takes to train new examiners. We are updating state-operated driver's license offices around Kansas with fresh paint, furniture, and new security measures. Seneca, Overland Park, Fort Scott, Independence, and Winfield have new office locations opening this fall, and we're working on securing new space for other areas around the state. Finally, we are changing the hours of operation for most driver's license offices statewide from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, with the option to expand to Saturday hours during peak times like spring break. The new schedule will provide an additional day of service during the week. The change in hours begins October 29th. We appreciate your support as we work to improve services and access. Please help us spread awareness about these improvements, plus the requirements of real ID in your newsletters when talking with your constituents. And if you have any questions or anything, there's places here to contact, and address are signed by David Harper, Director, Division of Motor Vehicles. So it sounds like quite a bit of change in the DMV.
Well, how come they didn't announce Atchison's hadn't changed?
I don't think that's set in stone
It's
yet.
not set in stone.
Oh, I thought that had done here.
So,
That's
Eric,
it.
should we put this document on our website? And can we have a little news article about it on our Facebook page?
That'd be good. Can you make note of that?
So we have to get Wes to do both of those. I think.
Post it to the website. and what else?
Wes, a news article on Facebook, and then also get this on the website.
Okay. It's good information. Okay, I think we're back to, we get the resolution.
There's 3 copies of it there.
We have a number for this yet? You'd have to give one.
Well, we don't assign them until they're adopted, because then if we don't, we end up with skipped ones. But I think the next one.
So should we read the resolution, or?
Well, I gave copies of it out when we discussed it.
No, I have read this. I mean, I've read it already. I didn't know if the general public understand it, or do we post the resolution on the website, or?
Well, they definitely get posted on the website. If you want to read it now, you can read it, the whole thing. It's
What would it?
I think you just paraphrase it, right?
I would have to. It would be hard for me to. I can't scan it and
Okay.
paraphrase
Okay.
with this much material.
Okay.
If you care to do it, you can.
Well, I'll try. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, which you're willing to do anyway. But
All the time.
so I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
All the time.
Oh, I see. So this is a program. I can't believe you said that, but
I can't believe you said I'm not dedicated to miss 6 to 10 meetings next year either.
Let's move on.
let's stay professional. This resolution basically puts an address at every county resident in the rural areas in Atchison County, so it's easier for 911 to find it. The county is going to put up the initial sign on each property, or either on their mailbox or a separate post, and then after they've been installed, if something happens to it, it'd be the property owner's responsibility to replace it. And also new homes be required to do it, and the cost of that would be bared in the initial fee that they pay to build a home. So pretty simple in that regard.
And the discussion about this is public safety is number one. When there's either call the sheriff or to ambulance, and it's impossible to find some of these addresses, especially at night. These are all reflective signs that can be readily seen from the roadside. It's going to stop a lot of second guessing. When you have calls, and second saves lives. This is something that to modernize services, I guess you would say, in the county, this is what we feel would be the best. So, Bill, do you have anything to add?
Public safety.
Yes.
I move to adopt resolution number
Well,
2018
something.
Kaylee, you'll have to get it. Les, can you look it up?
Do we?
I think it's 1443. But that
And I'm showing maybe 1442. Unless we just didn't write one.
I think that was the Kansas Moderate Income Housing Grant application.
Okay, can we just
Well, I
skip
just
over
want-
the?
We want to make sure we get the
We
right
can add the
number.
number later.
Yeah, let's add the number later. But you
I'll
want to
check
just read
on
the?
that, Pat.
I will make a motion to adopt this resolution.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt a resolution requiring all residential, commercial, industrial, or public building sites to post and maintain 911 locator signage outside all corporate city limits within the boundaries of Atchison County, Kansas. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0.
We will get those applications out. I believe Wes has a way of each wanting to proceed with this, so we'll work on that and we'll work together to get these signs posted as soon as we can all.
We want to make sure that we have the girl that proposed this project for her scout involved, just if it's just by the globe and picture, the first sign being put up or something like that.
Joni Caldwell is the one that presented this issue and wanted this to kind of be a 4-H. I want to say it's the Metal Art Club. It's kind of their deal. So she is the one that kind of got this ball rolling for us, and I do appreciate her willingness to make this go. And so I will let her know. I know she'll be very excited to hear this. You guys have anything else for me? Okay, thank you.
So you're saying that Cat will go ahead and get the grader?
I'm going to call in here shortly and see what time we're looking at. I think they had one they were going to just bring to their yard.
And they're picking the John Deere up.
We have to deliver that
Yes.
John Deere by Thursday, so we might go ahead and try to get it delivered tomorrow. We'll see where that other blade's at, but we'll get taken care of it shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't see no sign-off sheet on all this.
And that top one?
Oh, there it is right there.
Did I steal it?
The top one's that brings me up, Pat, have you heard from Justin Peugeot on the moderate housing?
Yes. We had an email exchange about really just about the process that he needed to meet with his group, I guess, first, but we will draft an agreement for you to consider. We just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that the county's protected from any misuse of the funds. I don't have big concerns about that, but we always want to check to make sure that at least somebody's obligated to do the right thing, and I don't have any doubts about it. But they're on the same page. They had some concerns about having all of the financial information out in the public realm. I think we can. There's an exception under the Kansas Open Records Act, and our agreement will describe what documents are going to be in there, and I think they'll fit squarely within the exception under the Kansas Open Records Act. And we'll have it for your consideration either next week or the week after. Okay.
Okay, is there any other business? Oh, let's see.
The project itself.
Sure, letter. I think that was.
That's why we had to pull that earlier, I believe.
You have a copy?
I have one.
This is from Stephanie Barnes, Executive Director of Project Concern. It was addressed to Michelle, but I'm going to go ahead and read it. I'm currently working on completing my KDOT application for fiscal year 2019-2020 and need to obtain a letter to show local match for funding. As you know, every year we ask the county to help us and send a letter for this. Could you please help me with this again and sign the letter? Send a letter signed by the commissioners, which is attached. I'm attaching a copy for the template. So I'll go ahead and read the letter. The Atchison County Board of Commissioners fully supports the application of Project Concern, Inc. to the Kansas Department of Transportation for operating expenses to help support the transportation program in the city and the county of Atchison. Congregate Meals and Wheels. That's a double. Okay. Congregate Meals and Meals on Wheels for the homebound provided to many of the citizens of Atchison and those at the Effingham site are essential for the physical and mental health of our senior citizens. The transportation service is necessary in this area because it is the only service available in our community that provides regular transportation for the elderly, handicapped, and others at minimum cost. Atchison County fully supports what Project Concern does and every year appropriates to them the sum of $135,000. Do I hear a motion?
That is inaccurate for this year, because we give them 10,000 for that van, but.
How much is our budget?
Isn't that under a different auspice? Didn't they separate the meals, this program from the transportation? I
Yeah,
guess they
but
are talking about transportation here too. I think that they're wanting probably the minimum. More would be.
That's what we've been doing, but we give them an additional 10 just for this van to get that off the.
And this
How
came,
much do they ask for it? It's your.
They asked for 20,
Original.
and we said,
Yeah.
10 to get it started, because it should, after it gets going, it should pay its own way. So we give them half, but
do you think that needs to be corrected, or just for the?
I don't know. What do you think, Pat?
It would just be the final figure of 135 would be need to be updated. I think this was just a template of the same thing that we signed last year.
Well, if it's
And
got the wrong number, yes, that should probably be fixed. If there is a projection of what you're anticipating doing in future years, you probably wouldn't.
I think we made it clear that this 10,000 was the one time to get you jump started, and then it should take off on its own.
Yeah, because this does say and appropriates to them, and every year appropriates. And so that
Okay, that makes
probably
sense.
is accurate. But if you wanted to add another sentence even that just said that we have provided additional funds for special projects, or last year we provided an additional $10,000, you could put that in. This probably meets our needs.
I would say that this would probably meet the needs, and that other is not a permanent addition. So if you guys are so inclined, do I hear a motion to accept, for us to sign the letter as written?
I think it should have the additional 10,000 in there.
But it says every year. We're not going to give it.
No, it was just.
Well,
What's your
but
legal opinion?
I think either way is fine.
So you think it's fine as it is?
Yes. Yeah, because what it says there is that every year
Every
we
year.
give them 135,000.
All right,
Some years you give them more.
I make a motion to sign off on the project concerning letter of intent for the 135,000 for 2019.
I'll second that.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign the letter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0. Okay, any old or unfinished business? County councilor updates?
Yeah, thank you. As you all know, I was gone basically from the end of the meeting last week until very early in the morning on Monday to the International Municipal Lawyers Association meeting in Houston, and that didn't cost you anything. The Kansas County Councilors Association sent 2 people to go, and I was one of the 2 they selected. So it was a very good opportunity, and there were a lot of classes on a lot of different topics. And I did bring back some things that I intend to try to utilize here. But they had there were very big cities there, Philadelphia, New York, Houston, of course, Dallas. There were some big cities, and there were some places that were much smaller than Atchison County that were there as well. So kind of a big gamut. I focused on the things that applied really to the smaller municipalities, and we did have a class on construction contracts, which was really good. I was surprised. There were quite a few presentations about federal legislation on telecommunications and the rights of cell phone companies to use our right of ways and what restrictions can be put on them, more than I had really anticipated. Most of that has to do with cities that are charging a franchise fee, and under state law, counties aren't authorized to charge franchise fees or to grant franchises. There was a presentation about trying to attract businesses. I'm not sure I got a whole lot out of it because they were really focusing on a community that was about 20 miles south of Nashville that has basically made several executive parks, where they have executive buildings.
Is that Murfreesboro?
No, it wasn't.
Trying to think of the town. There's several towns on there.
Yeah, Falver maybe or something like that. I don't remember the name of it. I don't know that we're situated exactly the same way, but there was some good thought though about what businesses want to see when they are looking for someplace to go. And there was a pretty good discussion about FEMA and changes with. We've had really unprecedented losses that have been covered by FEMA in the last few years, from Hurricane Katrina on. And of course, there's one right now. I guess we don't really know what the effects are going to be of this hurricane season, but FEMA has definitely changed their approach. And I think we saw that here in Atchison County. I think when we had our first flood, I'm going to get the years wrong, so I'm not going to say them. But when we had
93.
well, after that, yeah, I think it was either 10 or 12.
Yeah.
We had 2 years in a row where it flooded.
Well,
And,
How did your flood happen 3 times?
yeah,
It was 13 or 14, because I was thinking that Seth was dealing, about the time he got here, he was dealing with the last of the FEMA money. So that would have been 15 when the payment was coming in and projects were going on.
They were even saying that there are still grants that FEMA has approved from Hurricane Katrina that are still outstanding. Things haven't been built yet. I mean, none for Atchison County, obviously, but there were several of those. But we saw changes from the first flood event down on River Road, where it was almost them assisting us in filling out here's what you need to fill out, and here's the information we're looking for. Towards later, when I think we submitted essentially the same thing we had submitted before, and then they wanted more paperwork and more documentation and photographs and etc. We don't have a lot of structures. The county doesn't have a lot of structures that are in floodplains that are insurable. I don't know of any way to insure our roads or to insure bridges against loss from fire. I guess nobody's going to steal them, but vandalism, floods, tornadoes, acts of nature. I'm just not aware of any way to do that. I know K.S.A doesn't offer it, but that was helpful. And then maybe there was a pretty good presentation about the opioid litigation that's ongoing. There was discussions about investigation of HR complaints that was good. There was a good presentation. Atlanta was also there. Atlanta had, within the past year, some hackers that broke in on their site and put up a sign that just said, we've hacked your system and pay us $25,000 and we'll give you the keys back. And
Ransomware.
Yeah.
Ransom.
And they did not pay that ransom. They did talk about, they had some discussions with national law enforcement about, and they even considered paying it because it would have been a lot cheaper to pay it than to fix it. But they weren't completely sure that paying it would get anything back. It might have just been pay it and ha-ha. It's still messed up. And but also they were concerned about the public outcry if they did that, and then the precedent of, well, gosh, if they'll pay, we should do this too. But it was an eye opener, I think, about the number of things that use computers, the number of, every service, it seems like, within, in their case, a city, but even in the county, that they're all tied together, and so the security of the network is important. And they had talked about how old their equipment had been, because you don't usually, governmental things don't usually fix stuff that ain't broke, and hadn't updated. And then they ended up, they did have insurance in place, but the insurance was saying, well, you had a 1983 Yugo, so that's what we're going to pay you, at the price of a 1983 Yugo, not a 2018 Cadillac. But that was very important, or very interesting. So all in all, it was a great week down in Houston. I didn't see a lot of Houston, but the conference was really good, and I think I brought some stuff back that I will be using. So I appreciate you letting me be gone, but that's all. I just wanted to give you a report.
If I give you an update on, is there cyber security audits? That someone independent is kind of certifying that you're safe.
That wasn't part of the presentation. I don't know if there is.
I think we really got to be concerned about it. And I heard some things at the meeting that we should be aware of, and I'm not 100% on board. We're our own best evaluator. Sometimes another eyes can evaluate things more clearly.
Yeah, that's true. The things that I've had brought up to me in the past that dealt with security issues in the cyber world, and I've talked to Wes about them, that they've already been implemented. The things that I've heard that we need to talk about at County Councilors Association or something. But yeah, it's never a bad idea to have a second set of eyes look at things.
You said you mentioned something to West and he didn't seem concerned, or?
Well, I just said that they were saying that jump drives are a real security risk. And West said, well, the people within the work here use them. And I'm not, with the cloud and all those kind of things available, I don't know why we use jump drives. Do we just take the information home? Do we... he answered it wasn't important.
I have one in here.
Yeah, right.
I don't think that's exactly right. I think that he was sure that the safeguards that they had in place were correct. I don't think it was not important.
Well, obviously, if they're scanning the jump drive for viruses, that's a big step. I'm not, that's a key.
But I think that the way I read his answer was that he trusted the inner circle to use them 100%, but they did not allow someone to come in and.
That's 100% right.
Yeah. So I can share your concern, because yes, that would be devastating to have something like that infect your situation.
Court records, all kinds of personal information. Yeah. Some of these big companies get hacked. I mean, people with all that security.
You kind of wonder why they would want to hack us.
Well, you do,
but it could be for ransomware. Over 25,000, 50,000, you would be subject to paying it.
Could I ask another question? I mean, are you finished? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the status of Jerry Copeland's judgeship?
Well, from what I understand, it has to be approved by the governor. Makes the appointment. It goes to the Supreme Court and the Office of Judicial Administration. Those are two separate offices, but it gets approved by both, and I think that's done. And then it goes to the Secretary of State's office, and that final approval has not been signed. Or
He's out busy politicking.
Jerry had not received it last I talked to him about it, which was yesterday. I haven't talked to him about it today, but it's supposed to come in the mail. I think he said that he had received an email that it had been processed, but he hasn't received it. When he receives it, that's when he will tender his resignation, and that's when the process of the calling the convention for the party to select the next.
So we could declare the end of November.
I don't think it'll be that long. I think it's
It's only the 23rd.
They have to be within 2 weeks after notified, don't they? It has to be done by 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah, I think
3 weeks.
I was thinking it was 3. I think there's a 10-day notice requirement to the party people. And I've talked with. We've done this a few times now, so I think we had a process down. And I have talked with Derek Franklin about moving forward, and I think we've got. I think everybody knows what they need to do. They're just waiting for the next item to get checked off the list so we can start.
I have another one too.
I've got one. What about the opioid litigation thing? Where is the status of that?
Yeah. Well, from the meeting, or
on our the county level.
Yeah. Well, we had several vendors, several different attorneys, law firms that had talked to us. None of them. I don't know how to phrase this correct. I don't know how to phrase this.
Okay, just in generalities.
Well, I don't think we've picked someone to go with. I think there probably is an advantage to being one of the plaintiffs in there, and I think the risk to the county is minuscule, because there are some of those cases that are going to be going to trial starting next month, and if those turn out well, that is, if the plaintiffs are successful in those, there probably will be discussion about trying to get all the rest of them resolved. If those turn out that they're not, that the court doesn't view that there were damages that were suffered, or that the damages were small enough that they aren't really worth pursuing, then we'll go the other way. So those cases will be pretty important for how the rest of the cases get handled. And I think there is an advantage to being in the pipeline, as it were.
So what's the next step for us to choose?
It would be to hire counsel. And all of the proposals that we had what I think is an objectionable provision in the contracts. It's not authorized in Kansas. It is authorized in those states. We probably should have an executive session to determine exactly to discuss who we want to hire. But
I thought we was going to go with the city shows, the damages.
But the city does not want to be involved in the litigation at all. They are not.
I'm not clear what our damages are and how you measure them, because that's always the litigation.
I share the concern about that. From what I've heard in the presentations, and I've been through several of them now, they seem confident that economists are able to calculate what the damages would be. That is, what have the increased costs been for different departments, for the jail, for example, because of misuse of opioids.
It could be an estimated cost, not you wouldn't have to prove that.
Yeah, that's ultimately going to be up to a judge or a jury to determine that. The standard is more likely than not. But economists do a pretty convincing job, for example, trying to figure out how much a person would have made during their lifetime. They have assumptions that they make and that they're able to quantify. I've had some other kind of theoretical problems with hurdles that I've thought about, and those really were addressed pretty well at the conference, that the courts don't share the reluctancy that I was worried about, that those matters have been litigated, and all of these cases are, unless there is federal courts have what's known as diversity jurisdiction. So people from separate states, if they're involved in a lawsuit, that can be in federal court. It doesn't have to be in state court. And if a lawsuit's filed in state court between citizens of different states, the defendant has the choice of what they call removing the case to federal court. And that's just done simply by filing a document with the court saying that you want to remove it and make it a federal court matter. And almost all of the cases that have been filed in state court have been removed to federal court. And there have been enough of those that they've been consolidated into what's known as multi-district litigation. So what that means is that there is one judge, and I believe it's in Cleveland, that is handling several hundred, maybe even 1,000 cases. And they, because they have the facts that are fairly, a lot of them are consistent. The same information is going to be wanted by the plaintiffs and the defendants. And so they are, I think there are 3 main law firms that are handling it for the plaintiffs. And I think there were 16 smaller law firms that are on the plaintiffs committee that are arguing about whether they're getting all the documents they need or that sort of thing. And when the cases get ready for trial, the judge in the federal court in Cleveland will handle everything up until it's almost ready to try the case. And then it will be shipped back to the local jurisdiction for trial. So if we, for example, if Atchison County were to file a case, it would be removed to the federal court. And because of where we are, that's federal court in Kansas City. But then almost as soon as it gets transferred to Kansas City, there would be an order transferring the case to the multi-district litigation in Cleveland. And that court has handled the common issues that come up. For example, statute of limitations arguments, and those have been resolved favorably to municipalities up to now. So, there are 2 of the we've had contact from representatives of 2 of the 3 firms that are the main 3 law firms that are involved.
Can I ask another question? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I hate to bring this up because I'm not gonna, are we planning on reviewing the recover care offer next week, or the document?
Changing the
I'm changing the subject big time.
let's see, the 30th. Yeah, I don't know. We've requested some information from them. I've talked with Nathan, and with Leash. I don't know if we'll have everything back by then or not. I should probably follow up. I talked with Nathan actually yesterday.
Now, this is an agreement to have a discussion, to come up with an agreement.
This is an agreement that you would agree to remove Senior Village from the market and not negotiate with anyone other than Senior Village.
Should we,
Or with
should we leave the price in there?
No.
If we're going to negotiate, should the price?
That's a political question, political discussion.
It's based on something we did last year, but
It's a pretty important part of any sales contract.
we're starting with the price right up front. And that's, I mean, I know that Melissa has done some analogies, and those are 3 or 4 years old. I mean, I think in our best interest, we might be looking at understanding what the value of the property is. So I just wonder if that should be on the document.
I think everything in there is subject to
Everything is subject to negotiation.
negotiation.
I wouldn't think that the price is going to triple during the course of negotiations.
No, but why do you start with, if we're going to just, if it's going to be negotiations, why do we even have a reference price?
Well, I think that was their proposal to,
Yeah, I guess the letter came from them, but
Right.
somewhere along the line that price is negotiable. And I don't know if that is, would it be a deal breaker or what? But
that has not been part of my discussions with
Right.
them.
I know that if you have Melissa's 3 values divided by 3, it's in the upward $2.9, $3 million range. And she has a low of $2.4 million, I think, $2.5 million, and a high of $3.5 million. And I'm rounding up, so I'm not exact. I'm just throwing that out there. Should we leave that open? Because if we're going to sell it, we should have the best possible price we could get.
That's really a matter for the majority of the board to determine.
So I guess maybe I was saying, do we want to give Pat direction?
I think we've changed that LOI several times. I hate to just drive away in something that we could still change. I mean, or drive away the company. If we just keep changing this, they're finally going to just say,
Eric, I'm 100% on board with you. I'm just saying, is that $2 million to the price? So that's the way I kind of read that paragraph.
I didn't take it as that,
Okay,
so I
well,
guess that's less than.
Yeah, I realize it's not a legal binding deal, but
Yeah.
are we happy with that price? I mean, we're selling an asset that's important to the community, as we've been hearing. So, just a matter of time. And we've got appraisals that are much higher. But, what did the people tell you when you went to the lawyer in Kansas City? What kind of price did they think?
That was at the low end of the range. I think it went from, was it 2.1 to 3.1, I believe.
But if I recall, the commission, we'd have to get 2.829 to come up with.
No, I understand the net is the price, Bill. And because even with 2.2, that's not the net because we don't know how much we have to pay out in sick leave, or what we have to pay out in other things.
See, that's where I thought that was still up in flux, because when you negotiate one, it kind of.
I would just hate to have us have enough responsibilities that now it's a 1.9. And I don't think we have 300,000 obligations, but we do have a lot of obligations to the staff there, their sick leave and
I
vacation.
believe
I guess they
80-some thousand, wasn't it?
it was more than that at one time, but I think a lot
Some
of it's
of
been
it
paid.
will be.
It just depends on how much vacation and sick time they've used this year.
Yeah.
I don't know that number, but
I don't either.
Yeah.
And that varies, I think, from season even through season throughout the year.
Let's say we also got that, I don't know what you want to call it, we guaranteed 5 positions, some money. I don't think that was included. in
yeah,
that.
but how much is that? And I think we only got 3.
No, I think it was like 200,000.
Well, I thought we just did 3 last time. Maybe Pat remembers. I thought we had 5 the year before, and last year we did 3.
I'm sorry.
Employment contract.
I think there was 3 on this last year.
I think that's right. But that's still it's at least $150,000 if we pay it out.
I can't.
I'm just getting the average salary is at least $50,000. Pat, do you remember how much the employment contracts cost us if we sell?
Between the individuals.
Well, I don't remember, but I can look it up.
We had two retire, or
I think we only determined that we only needed to do it for 3 people. The second time. I think it's the director of nursing, the director of the facility, and a medical director. I can't remember. At least those 2.
I can't remember that figure.
it's just something we shouldn't be in open session discussing.
Well, it's public record.
It was $97,817.55.
But that's already been done, and it's already public record, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that would cost 97, and whatever it would be. I don't know if there's other things we're not thinking about. So you take 2 million, it's like a couple $100,000. Now we're talking about $1 million or $2 million.
Of course, I would like to have a lot more for it, but ultimately, the price. We don't have other people bidding on it. We don't.
Well, we really haven't had it in the open market either. We had Peggy send out some exploratory emails, and you talked about putting it in the open market, but we never have.
I consider it an open market. It's not been exclusive to anyone. I mean,
No,
it's been known, and we've had inquiries from people we've never sent information to that has heard about it. So I mean, it's for all intents and purposes, it's been on the open market. It's the worst kept secret in town.
Well, I'm only bringing up what does that word $2 million to mean to the negotiation?
I would, and I've read.
Because if we got to pay $300,000 out, then I want $2.5 million. I would think we want to take less than $2 million too, and because that'd be the volumes of the range.
I anticipate somewhere in between there.
They wanted some money spent. Some of the things we did, and some of them we haven't did yet because Peggy said she wasn't going to commit to that last one because it was one of the more expensive things. Till we had more of a commitment for that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that's still pending. But that was from a trust. That wasn't from taxpayer money.
That was Vanderwide Trust, I believe.
She was going to pull that money out. That's correct.
And I'm a trustee, but I don't know if we ever meet or not. Vanderwide Trust.
Last I heard, the papers were lost or something, and Jeff thought they were here, and Pauline thought Jeff had them, or is that a different thing I'm thinking of?
No, that's I think they located everything.
Oh,
I don't
they
think
found
they're
it?
missing anything. There was a notebook, but anyway, those that trust I thought had been exhausted.
I think you're right. I think that is exhausted after. I mean,
well, I think what she was trying to exhaust it.
Yes, and I think that was, of course, she's subject to the board's approval. I mean, that wasn't our decision
No, but I wasn't I wasn't a trustee
at that time. Right.
But who was the trustee for the county at that time?
Jeff Shealy.
So he was still the trustee, even though it wasn't.
Yes.
Board of Commissioners. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's my question.
Okay.
I don't know if it's answered, but at least it's a discussion point. So when will we know it's going to be on the agenda for next
week? I don't know.
You can't get the
contact
information.
them and ask about it. As I said, I talked to Nathan yesterday. So, and there wasn't a concern about providing the information.
I would say when he gets the information, he should send it to us and have us send it back if we want it on that agenda.
Right, and remember Hanukkah's early this year, like December 2nd or something. So if we're gonna have discussions with them, we better do it before Hanukkah.
Okay, are we all done?
The Cook, Platt, and Strobel agreement, the engineering agreement, they're starting quicker than anticipated, but that needs to be approved. I think it's acceptable. I don't have the originals, I think, that are on legal size paper, but I have scans of them, so I just printed that. But that needs to be considered. The maximum was $28,600, but they're starting already later this week, so they want that signed.
Okay.
So I'm going to go over and get that.
Any other comments? Always.
I was gonna ask him to start the bond process, if we need to get that ball rolling, if it isn't already.
Bond for.
The bridges bond. 'Cause
Well,
that's-
that's done.
Oh, we done did that.
The money's in the bank.
Oh, that's right. We've already-
Yeah, we've got that done, and the matter of fact, Seth even said the first 3 are paid for, completed.
That's right. Yeah, we did. I remember you talking about that. Tax sale, I wonder where we're at. Tax sale.
Okay, so I don't want to turn it off, I'm going to why don't you turn it off? Or just read it down.
We was wanting to get it done for the end of the year, but I don't know. Tax sale.
And that was supposed to happen back in May.
And the tax sale's another thing, it has disappeared from our discussion.
Well, it's been brought up.
Well, I haven't heard it brought up in here, I know I haven't been here the whole time.
We brought it up, so 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Last time I brought it up, I kind of got,
It's that way every time.
okay.
Did you guys give your
I got two of them.
suggestions?
I got 2 of them.
Did
I
you?
did.
Do you want me to hand them to
I
her?
already did, well, I actually had it to Melissa.
Okay, I was going to say. Put them.
If she can read my writing, then
That's
she's
what I would say.
the smartest person on the planet.
I'll put them on there, and I'll take them all down. And make sure they get them.
Everybody
say
got
that's
these all
something.
signed?
Yes, that's all signed. I'm sure everything I've got here this week got signed. Sounded like they had a positive response to meeting with Trudy. The initial process. Isn't that what you got? I mean,
I did. I was a little concerned that they seem to still have a concern that about us, and we got to figure out how to get past that. And
well, I share that similar, but
because I don't want the best for them and the county.
I thought they looked like the process of selecting insurance was more of a collective group.
Well, it's not a
input.
it's not a surprise, which takes care of one thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see that.
And the department heads and elected officials should be easily able to explain it to other department heads. And
I just hope it isn't like they get you in the door and then look out. Because the last time we changed, they waited till the 19th hour, and it looked like that employees here, that the commissioners pushed it on the employees.
on Tuesday, I was at their booth, and I asked them what the rates were. She said, well, we're going to get back to you sometime next week. So whether they didn't just want to, they probably didn't want to tell me, so I know when they got it with Jamie, but they didn't want to talk to me about it.
Well, I think that she's known for the most part what it was, and she's been
Working on it.
So.
I think they gave her an indication.
So 3 copies.
There's 2. I only,
That's fine.
I read the agreement already when we had it out here last time.
Okay, before us is a agreement between Cook Flat and Strobel engineers and Atchison County. This would be the oversight of the road project on Osage Road that's being starting this week. Cook Flat and Strobel will oversee work, process, and materials, seeing that everything is done correctly. The amount of the contract would be $28,600. Any question?
It's an amount not to exceed.
Not to exceed that. I'm sorry. Thank you for
And
the
if
correction.
construction goes faster, that is fewer days. So it sounds like that was the expectation, that it would be less proportionately.
We signed the copy.
That's that's what we're going to have to do.
Okay.
We need to sign this.
If you approve it, yes.
Any other
Both of
questions?
them, so we'll
I
have
think
two
we got it.
originals.
Didn't we already approve it?
I think we just talked about it.
I thought we discussed that there was such a difference between the first bid and the second bid that there was more than enough. And we thought this would be like kind of like insurance.
Well, it was like $100,000 less than the engineer's estimate, I believe. I'm rounding off, and that we were concerned that this bid was that low, but we were assured by somebody that it's a legitimate company. This is King, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that they were legitimate and that they hadn't worked with them. So I think this is our insurance policy to make sure that they do a good job. And I think it's even though $28,000 is a lot of money, I think we're still $70,000 at least.
Well, it's not been a real good project from the get-go, and this is kind of saying we're going to do it right. We'll have somebody that knows what they're doing say yes, it is.
So
right.
I would have moved to approve the inspection engineering work for Cold. I already can't say their name.
Cook Flat and Strobel?
Cook, Platt, and Strobel, in the amount not to exceed $28,000.
$28,600.
$28,600.
I'll second that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0.
This has been a long meeting. We should have half-hour, 5-minute public comment.
Yeah.
Which was a good conversation.
I checked with Michelle. The resolution number from earlier is 1443.
I was wondering. So we just didn't have one room in here.
Right. She has it on her list. So.
Okay. With that, is there any further business?
Move to adjourn at 2:47.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.
Your wife out there to take you somewhere?